In August of 1954, we took our first trip without Daddy, and Estelle got to use the driver's license she'd had such a fit about. It was just a little card saying she was Estelle Annette Watts, that she was white, that her eyes were hazel and her hair brown. But her having a license made that trip different from any others, because if she hadn't had it, we never would have been stuck in Sally's Motel Park in Claxton, Georgia, where we went to buy fruitcakes and had a wreck instead. And Mary would still be with us. Stella and I carried the last of the suitcases to the driveway. The sky was a wide, far blue above the willow oaks that line Queens Road West, with no promise of rain to break the heat. I put Mary's flowered cloth bag in the trunk, and Daddy took it out. I always start with the biggest piece. He picked up Mama's Pullman and grunted. She packed like she's never coming back. He hefted it into the trunk. Okay, girls, what's next? Stell tapped her suitcase with the toe of her size 6 penny loafer. That's the ticket. Daddy put Stell's bag in the trunk beside Mama's. He looked at the luggage still sitting by the car and ran his hand through his hair, which was oily with grill cream and sweat. 9:05 and not even 10 o'clock. He wiped his face with his pocket handkerchief and pushed his wire-rimmed glasses back in place. His hands were tan from playing golf, thick and square with blunt fingers. On his right pinky he wore a ring that had been his father's, gold with a flat red stone. The cowbell rang as Mary shut the kitchen door behind her. She came down the back walk, Davy on her hip. Puddin stumbled along beside them, struggling with the small suitcase she had gotten for Christmas. Daddy said to Mama, "Don't let Mary ride up front." "I'd never do such a fool thing," Mama said. "Everybody use the bathroom one last time." Stell stepped into the shade of the garage. "I don't need to." I ran to the breezeway, touching Mary's arm when I passed her, letting the screen door slap shut behind me. Daddy's bathroom smelled like cigarettes and poop. I cranked open the window and sat on his toilet to pee. In the full-length mirror on the back of the door, I could see the awful welts on my thighs. I stood and yanked up my pedal pushers. Daddy was rearranging the luggage, making one more square inch of room in the trunk. Stella Ann stood by the car, shiny in her readiness, from her silky hair to her clear lip gloss to her pale pink nails, polished like I could never be. A horn honked. Aunt Rita's green Coupe de Ville skidded into our driveway, stopping beside the Packard. She rolled down her window. "I found the picnic basket," Mama said. "Great," she asked Daddy. "Can we make room for it?" He groaned, looking into the crammed trunk. Aunt Rita passed the basket out the window to Mama. "It's packed with dishes, glasses, utensils. The ones in the paper bag are for Mary." She lowered her voice. "There's talk of the Klan in Georgia." Mama handed the basket to Daddy. "We'll be fine." "I hope so." Aunt Rita waved as she pulled out of the driveway. Mama jingled her car keys. "Say goodbye to your father." Daddy hugged Puddin with one arm and reached for Stell with the other, but she held herself stiffly away from him. He brushed my forehead with a kiss. "Be good, Junebug. You know you're Daddy's girl, right?" His head blocked the morning sun, and I couldn't see his face. Mary stood in the driveway holding Davy. Daddy poked Davy's tummy. "Say bye-bye." Davy waved. "Take care of my boy for me," Daddy said to Mary. "Yes, sir." Mary didn't look at Daddy when she spoke. We all got in the car, Mama and Stella Ann in front, Davy between them in his canvas baby seat. Puddin and I were in the back with Mary, who sat behind the driver's seat, tall and straight, her dark face already damp with sweat. She patted my leg to let me know she liked sitting next to me. Mama's hair was curled and hanging loose, flashing red and gold. She handed me her sun hat, scarf, and gloves to put on the ledge in the back window. Fold my gloves and put them under my hat, then cover my hat with the scarf. She watched me in the rearview mirror, making sure I did what she said. She started the car. Is everyone ready? Ready, Freddie, I said. Stell sniffed. Slang was beneath her, now that she was 16, was in young life, and had been saved. Daddy waved from the garage, looking alone already, and I remembered what he had said to Uncle Stamus, his older brother. While they're gone, I'm going to play golf every afternoon and get stinking drunk whenever I want. I wondered how he'd feel coming home to a quiet house, nobody on the phone, no supper in the oven, no one to yell at when he got mad. On the way out of Charlotte, we passed Municipal Pool, and I saw Richard Daniels poised on the new high dive, while another kid did a cannonball from the low board. When Daddy and Uncle Stamus won the contract to build those diving boards, they had hunkered for weeks over blueprints spread on the dining room table. Huge papers that smelled like ether and had Watts Concrete Fabrications, Inc. in a box on every page with a caption, Charlotte Municipal Swimming Pool, and subheadings, deck, base for 3-meter board, base for 1-meter board. Daddy showed me how to read the drawings. Always check the scale. An inch can equal a foot or 10 feet. He held the papers flat to keep them from curling. If you don't know the scale, you won't understand the drawings. I learned about blueprints as I breathed in his smell of tobacco and Old Spice. He liked teaching me things. When I was in first grade, he gave me a miniature toolbox with painted wooden tools. If he wanted help, I grabbed my toolbox and ran to him. But he hadn't asked for my help in a long time. 13 was too old for make-believe tools. In the early afternoon, we ate pimento cheese sandwiches in the car and stopped at an Esso station west of Columbia. I dug through the ice in the drink box until my hand was red before coming up with a Coke, and stood in the sun gulping it despite Mama saying I could only have one and to make it last. I looked around for Mary and saw her closing the door of an outhouse behind the filling station. She took Kleenex from her pocket and wiped her hands. I went to her. You gonna get something to drink? She shook her head. Don't know when I'll find another outhouse. In a town called Toccoa, I saw signs in people's front yards. Separate but equal is good for everyone. And segregation ain't broke, don't fix it. Mama, what do those signs mean? It's got to do with that mess in Washington. She glanced at Mary in the rearview mirror. Never mind, it won't happen in Charlotte. What won't happen? Hush, I don't want to talk. Mary took my hand. I looked at our intertwined fingers. Mine slender, smooth, and pale. Hers brown, thick-knuckled, and calloused. On her left hand, resting in her lap, she wore a thin gold ring. We didn't talk much in the car, and she seldom spoke, except to say, yes, ma'am, or no, ma'am, or y'all leave off talking till your mama gets us back on the highway. She and Mama hadn't had much to say to each other in a long time. They travel on down the road, and they come to a town, it's a fictional town called Wickens, Georgia. At the town limits, they see a sign, Negroes, observe curfew, whites only, after sundown. And they begin to try to find a place that they can stay. And the first couple of places they stop will not have Mary at all. They did finally find a place called the Sleep Inn Motel, and there's a board cabin behind the office of the place that the man says Mary can stay in that cabin, and the family goes to a regular room. After I put on my pajamas, I wanted to go see if Mary was okay. Hot as it was, Mama made me wear her bathroom robe. Hot as it was, Mama made me wear her bathrobe so I'd be decent. When I got to the cabin, I knocked softly on the door. Mary called out, "Come on in, Jubie." The door opened into a small room. The bulb hanging from the ceiling didn't give off a lot of light, making the room feel close and hot, even with the one window open. The air smelled of dust and soap. Mary was in the only chair, a wooden ladder back like we had in the kitchen at home, but with one leg shorter than the others so that she was slightly tilted. There was a tattered white Bible in her lap. "How'd you know it was me at the door?" "Who else would visit me so late in the evening?" "Might have been a gentleman stopping to see you." "Might have." She wore a blue chenille robe and white terry cloth slippers. Her reddish-brown curls were free from her combs. I'd heard Mama say that Mary used a henna rinse, and I liked it that Mary had vanity. She pointed to the bed. "Sit yourself down, girl." I sat and had to grab the footboard to keep from falling backward. Mary asked, "You never been on a straw tick?" I tried to find a way to sit, but the bed pulled me down. I scooted upward and put my back against the headboard, my left leg dangling off the side. "How can you sleep in this thing?" "That's what you do with a tick, sleep in it, not on it." "What's that squeaking every time I move?" "Got ropes underneath, not springs like you used to." "That would keep me awake." I swatted at a mosquito that buzzed my ear. "You doing okay, Jubie?" "Except for being crowded in with everybody, our stuff all over, and here you are with the whole room to yourself." "Sometime it pays to be a darky." She rocked on the uneven chair. I hooked my toe through a hole in the rag rug. "Where's your bathroom?" "What do you think this is, a castle for clothes folks? There's an outhouse a little ways into the field and that pitcher and bowl there. Got any water in it?" "The Lord of this here motel let me fill it from a tap outside. I'm better off than I might have been." I struggled from the bed. "Is that a family Bible?" "It was my grand's. Got our dates in it." "Could I see?" She opened the front cover of the Bible and handed it to me. "Be gentle. It's got more than 70 years on it." I held the book carefully. In many different hands there were records of births and deaths, marriages and baptisms. The dates in Mary's Bible went back much further than what Stella had recorded in ours. One entry said, "Mary Constance Culpepper, born September 20, 1906, married Farr Lincoln Luther, May 18, 1925. "That's you." "It is. Got a birthday coming, be 48. I had never thought about her age. Her caramel skin was smooth. "I didn't know you were so old." She threw back her head and laughed, showing her front tooth that was framed in gold. "I like you more and more, June Bentley Watts, more and